This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital. It is Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. In an astounding turn of events, U.S. President Joe Biden has ended his re-election campaign, saying it's in the best interest of his party and the country. President Biden announced yesterday he will not seek re-election amid continued pressure following a disastrous debate performance last month that left many in his party questioning whether he should continue to seek re-election. He will, however, serve out the remainder of his term. Biden said, quote, "While it's been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." Biden wrote in a letter he posted to his X account saying, I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. The president said it had been his greatest honor to serve as president. And Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said in a Facebook post commending President Joe Biden for what he described as his bold and courageous decision and wished him a long and healthy retirement. President Biden withdrew from the presidential race, saying it was in the best interest of the party and country. President Biden endorsed Kamala Harris, the vice president, to be the new Democratic nominee. Dr. Rowley said the outcome of this will always be a matter for the American people, and he had every confidence to be guided by wise decisions and sensible decisions. Prime Minister Rowley said, I've been very fortunate to have been exposed to and work with President Biden and Vice President Harris. They're both outstanding patriotic citizens for their country, and we in the Democratic TNT can do no more than to wish them well as they go forward in a vigorous campaign, which we hope will be peaceful and worthy of the great nation of the United States. And world leaders lined up to pay tribute to Joe Biden after he announced on Sunday he was dropping out of the U.S. presidential race. Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky thanked Biden for taking bold steps in supporting his country. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk praised Biden for taking many difficult decisions, thanks to which Poland and America and the world are safer places. And the UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said he respected Biden's decision, adding, I look forward to us working together during the remainder of his presidency. The Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago reduced the reserve requirement for commercial banks from 14 to 10%. Takes effect July 24th. It said the Monetary Policy Committee at a special meeting on July 19th examined the recent decline in excess reserves for commercial banks, deposits held by banks at the central bank in excess of the required reserve ratio of 14% of prescribed liabilities, deposits, and short-term borrowings. Trinidad and Tobago has recorded its fourth lab-confirmed dengue-related death. The Ministry of Health has confirmed at the Northwest Regional Health Authority Men's Health Initiative at the Queen's Park Savannah yesterday. Health Minister Terence Diazing emphasized the need for both individual and community efforts in the fight against the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which transmits dengue. The Diazing noted while spraying is part of an integrated approach to the vector control, excessive spraying can also be more harmful than beneficial. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is seeking urgent assistance of the public in locating 40-year-old Komal Maharaj. Komal of Felicity Shigwanis was last seen on July 19th and was reported missing to the Shigwanis police station later that day. He's of East Indian descent, brown in complexion, and has a low haircut. He was last seen wearing a red t-shirt, gray hoodie, and a pair of blue jeans. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Komal Maharaj is asked to call the Shigwanis or any police station at 665-5271 or 800-TIPS, or contact the police at 555-999 or 911, or call any police station. Finally, cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike says a significant number of devices that were impacted by a global information tech outage on Friday are now back online. In a social media post, the company whose faulty security update caused Microsoft Windows computers to crash around the world added, it continues to focus on restoring all systems. Microsoft estimated that the incident, which is being described as one of the worst IT outages in history, impacted 8.5 million computers around the globe. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning. Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, the 22nd day of July. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Yep. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, full casting this morning. We just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Shane and Ruben in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. 25 degrees at Piarco, 27 at Crown Point. And the Met Office is saying we're going to be mostly fair and hazy at first. Will give way to partly cloudy conditions from mid-morning with showers over a few areas. What are a few areas? There's also a low to medium, which is a 30 to 40% chance of the isolated thunderstorm activity favoring western and southern areas of Trinidad. All right, so that's your weather for today. Good morning to you, Pablo. What's happening?
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Wendell.
Morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe.
Mm-hmm. Good morning.
Good morning to Joe Biden.
And Kamala Harris. They have some tough decisions to make in America. Tough decisions. I wish them all the best.
I don't think it was a tough decision at all.
That was not a tough decision. They just...
I really don't.
No, I said they have some tough decisions to make.
Oh, you have? I heard it. Okay.
Yeah. The one that they made was one that we've been calling for a while now. I told you all that man has early signs of dementia. You all didn't want to.
I don't know that withdrawal confirmed that. So.
But I think the pressure, of course, the pressure that was brought to bear on him because of that. Just one, well, not just one incident, but there have been several incidents over the last few years.
There's not one. That debate performance.
Yeah, but that particular incident
that one did it.
The beat Obamacare.
That's the one that did it.
Yeah, he was clearly out of sorts.
I don't think he could. I didn't think he could recover from that debate performance.
No way.
I thought that it showed some serious gaps in his cognitive abilities. And I didn't think I kept saying it. I didn't think he could beat Trump even if he stayed in the race.
Yeah.
Just didn't think so. So he did what many consider to be the patriotic thing, and he opted out.
Yeah. He get a lot of pressure as well.
I think he has started the process, and this is how I interpret it, of saving America. Because America cannot afford Donald Trump. The world cannot afford Donald Trump again as president of America. Trust me. And I don't know how so many people not seeing that. This man and his ways, his attitude, his character. I don't know how people not, how I should put it, wary of it. But, hopefully they'll come up with a candidate. If it's Kamala Harris, fine. I have no problem with that. If it's Michelle Obama, whoever it is, I think they were calling another gentleman named, I can't remember his name. Yeah, and another name. There was another name too. No, it wasn't Newsom. It was another name. He was on the news last night on ABC News when I was watching it. And so whoever they come up with needs to go out there and beat Donald Trump. Trust me, because that's what you'll have to do. You'll have to beat him, and you'll have to beat 70 million odd people in America. Because that's his support base was there at 70 odd million last election, even though they knew he was going to lose. 70 million people voted for him still.
I think, you have to commend somebody who, this is his legacy, and to make a decision. And then on top of all that, he got COVID, and to make a decision that really deals a kind of blow to your legacy in some ways. But then some people also said that his bold stance to resign in the interest of the country and the party was really courageous.
Yes.
Which will actually cement his legacy even more than going up against Donald Trump and losing. Because if he lost against Donald Trump, it would really mess up his legacy.
Yes.
So
he has done the correct thing.
I think so. I think so.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think he's done the right thing. Sometimes, I just didn't, and it looked like to me, I could be wrong, he is being propped up from so many different people.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, everybody, people prop up leaders that they feel that they could benefit from or could control, you know.
well, so we're preaching this morning, boy.
But that happens, you know. We see it here locally in our politics.
Yeah.
You know, it happens all over the Caribbean, all over the world.
Yep.
You know?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
People prop up people who they feel they could benefit because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Yep.
What I could get out of it.
Yes.
Yes. So we'll see.
We'll see.
There's the perception by some that because Joe Biden endorsed Kamala Harris, that she is the nominee. That's not so, you know.
No, that's not so.
That's not necessarily so. She has to get the support of the party donors, the party hierarchy, and get the vote. And they said that many of the pundits are saying that is not as a fait accompli as many people think.
Yeah. I think I was reading last night too that she had raised like $27 million in a very short period of time after the endorsement.
Yeah.
You know?
After Joe
A lot more than that.
Yeah. Stepped down, she gained some support.
Elections cost a lot of money in the US.
Oh yeah.
And when you have the likes of Elon Musk supporting the Republican Party and the Koch brothers with their war chest, basically billionaires, you know,
yes,
who have so much to gain from a Trump presidency that they're pouring their money into it. You know, it's an investment for them. You know.
Yeah.
And although they have campaign finance laws, it's always a way around it.
Yeah.
There's always a loophole. It's 106 days till the U.S. elections.
That's going to go fast.
Conference or convention to be held shortly.
Yes.
We shall see.
That's all.
Is America, the big question, of course, well, two questions. Is America ready for a woman president and a black woman president? You understand? Are they ready?
A lot of history.
Yeah, plenty. You know? I don't know what the total black population is in America or the total woman population is in America, but they'll certainly be behind her.
Well, not necessarily all that. Saying let me take this for now. We have some videos to share that are very disturbing. Let me see.
Yeah,
I saw this one that I want to share. I hope we don't get a copyright strike for it, but I just found it so interesting. I'll share it now and add people to look at it and see. See it actually.
He is the one.
As if Trump will up your leg like that.
I haven't seen this though.
I just found it so hilarious. Rock and Zuckerberg, yes. They good, Let me tell you. Oh my God.
I've seen that.
I found it so interesting. Good morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. Well, that's Matrix. They just use Matrix and substitutes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That looked like something Richard would have produced.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
I
produce
think so.
anything that heroizes, if there's such a word. Trump.
Donald Trump. That makes him a hero.
Well, the world
Heroizes,
is a different place this morning.
heroizes, if that's a word.
A very different place this morning.
Yeah, it is, eh?
Yep. What a difference a day in politics makes. But there was a huge consensus by media and sources last week that Biden would have stepped down this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a great surprise to many people. Still kind of shocking that a sitting president with potentially another term decides, you know what, let me just back down, because he'd been so adamant before.
Yeah. I think the COVID revelation was kind of the biggest hint that we got that this is the time.
But it's happened before, hasn't it? I think about 50-something years ago.
An American president indicated he's not contesting.
Yeah, I think about sometime in the 1950s or something like that.
Okay, I'm not aware.
But they said, because they kept saying, when I was listening to some of the talk shows yesterday, they were saying this is the first time in 50-something years or more. I can't remember. I think it's sometime in the 1950s that occurred where the incumbent withdrew when after New Hampshire results said he withdrew and he wouldn't contest or something. A different circumstances, but that amounted to the same thing, that the incumbents did not go up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, this all stems out, and they tried to do damage control. That debate started this entire cascade.
Yes.
That dismal debate performance where he just didn't know. He didn't know, seemed to have a clear trend of thought. He didn't seem to be on top of his words. He didn't.
I think the debate was a catalyst. I don't think it started there.
Yeah, but I don't think, but there would have been grumblings before. Had he performed well in the debate, he would not be in this position now.
It catapulted it, to a different level of all this friend.
The debate performance was really, really bad. And the concern was, if you are unable to seemingly manage your thought process in the debate now, is another 4 years you're asking for?
Yeah. And he was being ridiculed by that despicable man. Nothing was more painful to watch than him being ridiculed by Donald Trump.
I actually thought Donald Trump was quite calm in that debate, considering his past. Yes, he ridiculed him, but then that's part of it. He threw back blows at Trump too. That's part of a debate format. I don't think Trump did anything more than Biden did himself in the debate. Biden did himself in the debate by not being able to offer a clear thought process on many important things. And he's, at the end of the day, he's the president of the United States. So.
As I said, I still believe Joe Biden had very little control over how he would have been dealing with those issues.
How he would have what? Sorry?
Had very little control over how he would have dealt with some of the issues he dealt with. It can't be easy for someone going through what I think he's going through. I think he's going through early stages of dementia. That's what I think.
Okay.
Back
at home.
I don't know if I agree it's dementia.
I don't really agree with that.
I think it's just that he's older, so he is maybe less quick on his feet.
But Trump is almost the same age as him.
I think 3 years younger.
But people age differently, Paul.
That's my point. That's exactly the point. Exactly the point, that he is not a great 91-year-old in terms of health.
There's some 90-year-olds that are in better shape than somebody with 70.
And the conversations that he is not an 81 or 82-year-old in good condition.
And early stages of dementia has nothing to do with age, gentlemen.
I don't know that it's he may not be as mentally sharp as he would have been, but I wouldn't say that he's by any means stupid.
Nobody's saying it's stupid. Nobody said
How you reach there?
I mean that.
Yeah.
How you reach there?
I mean, how you reach stupid?
Okay, that he's losing his mental acuity to the degree.
Some mental acuities, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's slowed. But I still think he's competent.
We don't know. We're not behind the scenes. Back at home, I see the police have said that the day of roadblocks, etc., has provided 113 nabbed in roadblocks, and they seized some weapons. When I see 113 nabbed, I don't know what that means. Is it that they were charged or they were just arrested? Because holding was the one thing, charging and prosecuting them.
Another thing, yeah.
Else, yeah.
Nabbed might be the tickets they give out.
As we said last week, more information was required after the exercise.
Well, nabbed seems to imply that they're detained.
Well, the newspaper probably used the word nabbed. The police not going to use the word nabbed.
Yeah.
No. So
Nabbed could mean they discovered people with expired licenses, bad this, bad that.
Exactly.
That could be the nabbed, you know.
And that's why I said there's a lack of information regarding the success of the exercise, and that's what we were waiting for. You know, as we said, still no press conference that I have seen. Maybe somebody saw some, you know.
No, I didn't see any.
Never at that moment. So people are asking what the outcome is going to be. That's the crew was saying. Well, that I was saying that let's see what happens, what they say coming out of it. So, you know, we will see.
Well, they did issue a release saying expect more of it in the coming days. So, you know, I didn't move about much this weekend. I went for the Spain Corporation at the Sports and Family.
They already stopped the murders, you know.
Or the kidnappings.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Well, has it been classified as a kidnapping?
The young chap,
Mr.
42-year-old
Maharaj, yeah.
Yeah, you know, well, he was, as far as I know, it's a kidnapping. No call has been made.
And where did you see this as a kidnapping?
I saw that in some news yesterday.
I don't know that any ransom has been demanded. So
no, I don't know any. Yeah, they said no ransom has been asked.
I don't know. It didn't stop all of that.
No, it didn't stop.
I mean, the robberies and all of that. It didn't. No. It certainly. I don't know if this happened before or after, but this also happened. It's the woman putting up a super farm invalid sign.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
And this is
an old video.
Yeah, it's an old video. It's 2 weeks old.
What scared me about this is I already park. I park right there.
Yeah, I'm parked there already.
You know that
they come and block.
They will be so brazen they'd come and block you.
So they block the car. He comes out with a gun. And she did the right thing. Let's give up the car. They actually found the car. I heard they found the perpetrators, but I can't confirm that.
Glad that they just have a lot of people that
there's a letter out. But car theft is on the rise. Missing people. This weekend I looked, and there's so many missing people. You know, young people.
I just don't know.
Car theft.
There's a lot of
missing people. What else we have?
A lot of responses to the exercises last week Thursday.
Yeah.
Last week Thursday, and people saying, security experts saying that it was a waste of time. I don't know. Maybe they put it as what the objective was. If it was a suppression exercise, if it were to pick up people on warrants, if it were to pick up people suspected of being involved in gangs or in other crimes, you know, we don't know, because they started a press release saying 113 picked up. I didn't see the press release, so I can't say. We don't know what the status of this 113. They said I saw a report that they were able to get an AR-15 weapon. I don't know if somebody was arrested for that, for possession of that. You see, the lack of information is where they, to me, fall short very, very often.
You know, the police could build confidence, rebuild confidence in people by releasing images from their CCTV cameras of incidents. Instead of us depending on CCTV footage from stores and from homes and so on, they need to release their version of what they are monitoring and what they are seeing and picking up. That's what we need to see.
Not only that, if they decide to release that and they have footage of the individual's face, release it so people will know.
Show us what you are seeing and how
If you
you
see
are
this
monitoring.
individual, call Crime Stoppers, call 999, call do whatever. But you don't know.
Now, let me tell you, I'm on the police Twitter page here now. To be fair, the 537th Krishna Bahadur, known as Chani, was denied bail appearing before Port Spain master of the court on several charges. 12 persons arrested, 3 firearms and quantity of ammunition and narcotics seized across 4 divisions. 4 persons arrested during a roving road check exercise conducted driving under the influence task force 7th of the 7th. 10th of the 7th, 52-year-old electrician granted bail. The 11th of the 7th, 5 persons arrested on a firearm and several rounds of ammunition seized during anti-crime exercises in Southwestern. Police 2 men appear before Princess Town Masters. Officers attached to Southwestern arrested 2 suspects, seized 2 firearms. Now, all these are exercises where they're picking up people, you know. But who went on Twitter to find this? You understand?
Yeah.
In terms of building the public confidence that you're doing stuff, you're clearly doing stuff. But you think somebody going to Twitter, oh my God, I want to see what the police do today. I don't understand the inability to comprehend what effective communication of what you're doing and your successes will mean to building public trust and confidence. It's like they have a block to that.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. And I look back at that press conference held after the Prime Minister and the National Security Council was in Tobago. Is it last week or week before? It could be the Monday after.
Yeah,
Week before. And, you know, I just look back at the Commissioner of Police with the phone in her hand in that press conference, and it was really...
Breathe, Paul, breathe.
It looked so shaky, you know? There was no confidence, there was no... it just looked so questionable. Hey, Daniel and I is saying that's what the media is there for. The media is supposed to get and put it on the pages to get information. Yeah, good luck, Daniel. You clearly don't know what the media is there for.
Mm-hmm.
The media is not the police public relations and communications. Yes, the media is supposed to disseminate information, but that's not all the media is there for, sir. Go back to your school and book and find out what the media is there for.
But they have a whole arm dedicated to it, so they just need to get it. They just need to
Our
get
whole comms department,
Yeah.
you know? Anyway, we should open the phone lines, see what people think. The big story.
Yeah, I have a couple birthdays. My cousin Nichelle Stephen Ada, Anne Wong, happy birthday, Anne. Ansel Coward, Curtis Chase, who's also a member of the media, Salim Neptune, former Youth League officer, Nelson West, former Coast Guard officer, and yesterday was Constable Nicole Young and Darren Leasing. Happy birthday, Darren. Belated greetings, Darren. You know, they celebrated their birthdays yesterday. All right?
Trinidad and Tobago recorded its 4th dengue death.
Yes, the numbers have reached almost 300,
302 lab confirmed cases.
Yes. But the world is battling right now, and I'm reading world news and so on. The world is battling with a serious mosquito infestation. I don't know.
As it does every year.
Mm-hmm. But some of the others being reported.
Is it exceptional this year for some reason?
I gather that because I've never really seen it reported like it's being reported now.
Yeah.
So it has to be something exceptional.
Just as a side note, somebody had told me yesterday, was it yesterday or Saturday? Saturday. That I sound soft in comparison to you all.
You?
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know.
Yeah, that my volume seems very low. So I told them I would double check.
I hear you guys good. I don't know how people hear us, but I hear you guys good.
Yeah, so I was just wondering. Yeah.
Mhm.
I suppose some of the listeners could weigh in on that too.
Yeah. But is it the first time you've been accused of?
For dengue deaths, and according to Dr. Avery Hines, the head of the epidemiology, or the director of epidemiology, Ministry of Health, half the cases are teenagers. And of the 4 deaths, I think 2 are teenagers, which is, quite an interesting stat, that half of the dengue cases are teenagers. That is very interesting. I wonder what causes that.
Yeah.
It's just, is it that teenagers are more susceptible? It's very, very weird.
What is typical toxic masculinity? If somebody describes that, if somebody uses those words to describe you, what would you take that to mean?
Well, it's a word that's been bandied about in the last 4 or 5 years. A lot. I guess it means different things to different people. My understanding of it is expressions of masculinity that are not productive, that are, like bullying people, abusive, behaviors like, I don't know, I guess drinking and going and abuse your wife or your girlfriend, and
is that
gaslighting people,
Right. Gaslighting, I've heard that word too.
Gaslighting.
A lot of people use that word.
All of those things. The things that when men are abusive and really cruel to men who they feel are part of the LGBTQ community, you understand? Because you don't measure up,
right.
kind of thing. I guess all those are expressions of what people may describe as toxic masculinity. It's a word that is bandied about. I saw a couple of years ago, there was a big debate on social media where there was a discussion about toxic masculinity, and one of the panelists said that Trinidad and Tobago has a culture of abusive men and toxic masculinity. And I just found it, okay, where's this stats to support that? And the person couldn't support the assertion. So anyway, we should open the phone lines.
Yeah, let's do that. 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. Good morning to all those on Facebook, YouTube. Send us messages on WhatsApp. Good morning. Lots of calls. Let's go. Good morning.
Hey, morning.
Morning.
You can, Richard.
Good morning, Mr.
Wendell.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
Richard,
Yes, sir.
I was in a Thanksgiving some weeks back. And your name comes up in the Thanksgiving, or?
My name comes up all the time.
Your name and Steve Khan.
Me?
They finally pushing a UNC agenda.
Oh,
Me?
The program, because all always criticizing the government,
okay.
the police service, and everybody.
All right. Noted.
They have their opinions.
Yes, I say, well, because if a man criticize and say something, I don't know. I don't know. No, what are they called to ask?
And there are people who say who quite happily say push a PNM agenda. So I guess it's
the dangerous dog bill, right? The dangerous dog bill. It's enforced.
Supposedly dangerous dog bill.
Oh, okay. It's still enforced.
I was reading about Mad Max in Irma walking somebody and 5 pit bull maul.
Yeah.
Are you asking if it's enforced as an active or being enforced, which is different?
If it's being enforced.
Well, I don't think it's always being enforced based on what we heard from the TTP-CSPS, Trinidad and Tobago Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, based on the limitations and resources of many of the regional corporations who are supposed to be enforcing aspects of that law.
Yeah. I heard about that incident, Mr. Patrick, with Mad Max.
Yeah, but you have to tell have some pictures.
Yeah, I heard about it.
The book grants. I was talking a lot about the book grants on TV this weekend. Ministry of Education. And I was talking to a friend whose son attended the school, and they said this school have a package of 3 books for 500 or something like that. A math book, English book, and some other book.
Okay.
Everybody's trying to make their money. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Price
Yeah.
of books like ridiculous.
Books is a business, you know. The book publication is one of the biggest businesses in the world, you know.
So the school have their own publishers.
If the school what?
If the school have their own publishers, that we
No,
ask.
not that I know of, no.
Yeah, because if the school come up with a package with their own books, they have to have a publisher do that, right?
No, well, maybe they're working with a publisher, which is what generally happens.
No, I mean,
The principle, interestingly, we have a strange thing in Trinidad and Tobago, where principals in primary and secondary schools each has the remit of choosing the textbook for the same subject they're teaching. So St. Mary's College graph textbook for physics from this publisher, and Hillview could have a totally different textbook teaching the same thing. It is a mafia.
Mm-hmm. In an article yesterday also, guys, several bills, they said, recently passed by the parliament, which can assist TNT's anti-crime and pro-justice fights are now law after being assented to by President Christine Kangaloo yesterday. So several of those anti-crime bills, the whistleblower bill, the what's the other one called? The Miscellaneous Testing and Identification Act. All of those will
Is bail included in that?
Huh?
There's the bail bill?
Yes, it's part of it.
Yes, the bail bill
I
is
would
part of it.
imagine they proclaim those very quickly because you don't want to not have the law enforcement have the advantage of the ability to use the thing, because the reason that they were presented to the parliament for consideration is to help the fight against crime.
Yes.
So I would imagine that they would have access to those laws as quickly as possible. Let's see how they work.
Yep.
CJ just sent me a message saying that it was President Lyndon Johnson in 1968 who withdrew from the presidential election.
Right. 1961, as you said?
Yep. 1968.
68, all right. Because everybody said, and I got a message saying 61 from Chris. And then Rena had said Washington, but it's Lyndon Johnson in 68.
Yeah. Washington gave up the presidency because he says I think he has a very famous quote that remaining in power is antithetical to the spirit of democracy. That you should always know when to give up power. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing him badly.
It has that philosophy spread among leaders of democratic countries.
Yeah, it's
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And Richard and Wendell, very good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, yesterday I was bombarded. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say so, that part was. Yes, I was taking a nice sleep. And the television was on because I was rewinding the news I think it was Friday night or Saturday night news. And something came under the ticker tape where I saw that Obama said that Joe Biden should, step down. What's that effect? But I wasn't too sure if I was really reading that because more sleep than wake, But then I say, hey, Obama said I kind of take up myself, When I say, let me just switch the television to CBS or something, because I don't know. All I know, I've had television on for weekend news. I say, but that might be something they're talking about in the international news. And I switched on CBS. That's around 3 o'clock. And when I saw Joe Biden step up, I was like, that's the best news I ever heard, And to me, that's the best thing he ever did for himself. But the worst part, every news also had that all night. Like nothing else happened in the United States after that, you know.
That's big news.
Yeah, but
But
oh my
it was
goodness.
big news, so one would expect
the
that
feeling
after
of
they
my
have on the TV.
over and over and over and over. Wow. And I know you won't believe I haven't put on a television on international news for the morning because I know it's the same thing I carry going and watch. I say, oh my goodness. But to me, I'm glad. I am happy because I saw some videos where they were showing him walking and I thought of, you know, those things is wind up and walk slow, not the robot, but something else. I say, my goodness, he did the best thing. And I believe the COVID assisted him in making that decision because he's still coughing and all of that. So I say, thank God, people in America, I mean, Joe Biden got sent for the people of America because Donald Trump will have beaten him hands down because of that, just for him running, you know. But America, all them kind of get a little reprieve. Donald Trump might be the president again. So you all have a good morning. But there's nothing more to report, by the way. I didn't hear if there were any murders, like 10, 12, anything happened over the weekend?
And they had a few.
A few? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to be listening to news. I was listening to news after the fact. So I was hoping I didn't hear that.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see what
you.
kind of remainder of tenure Joe Biden has in the next couple of months. Because no matter who wins in November, he's president until January, not so?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're not supposed to do that much after the results. You know? You're supposed to just kind of wrap up what he was doing in some ways. But
people were also suggesting that because he has endorsed Kamala Harris, that he should even step down now and give her the chance to be president. That's what I saw. I saw that opinion. I don't know if you all saw that.
That's from Republicans.
Okay.
All right, we have another call.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could I speak property tax? Property tax will be due, and the payment will be in September.
By September 1st.
Already got the second document.
By September 1st.
Yes. And I think you all should get someone to come on to speak about that because some people still thinking of not paying it, but there is a 10% if you don't, and the next 15% for something else. And this grown man was talking about property tax coming and people poor and they can't pay it. Mr. Allen, property tax was here before and it has to be paid whether we would like it, yes or no. But he always on some rowdy watch instead of crime watch. Jeez Louise. It has to be paid.
Mr. Allen was a UNC candidate, wasn't he?
Yes.
So he will have that perspective. So
yes, but property tax was here before. Whether you're poor or not, if you don't want to pay, just don't have a property. It's simple as that.
I'm not saying no, but I'm saying I don't know why you're surprised that Mr. Allen would have that perspective.
I don't know why you all suffer yourself sometimes with some of those shows, you know.
No, I just haven't. Well, the other one is so boring. I said, let me see what this one have as yesterday, I think. And people poor, and now you're bringing the property. What it has to do with that? So if you all could bring someone on to talk about the property tax, it has to be paid whether you like it or not. You want the pothole fixed, but you don't want to pay the property tax. Good grief. Get with the program.
Ms. Sampson, promoting the paying of taxes is not something that is a priority for anybody. Promoting it. You just pay it, you just institute it and pay it. I don't know that anybody needs to come and promote that.
Well, I think it's a good suggestion.
People always go against it.
Because there's a lot of misinformation, because it's been embroiled in so much controversy that I don't think it's a bad idea to have somebody on to talk about what is required, even if you haven't gotten an assessment what your process should be.
Well, we could try Brian Manning then.
Yeah, we could. I think that is a good suggestion.
You ain't getting the other one. You ain't getting the minister.
No, you ain't getting.
No. Go to the elections, we'll get him.
You wouldn't even get him.
Have a good one, Miss San Fernando.
Yeah, all right.
Wendell, today is your day to supply poll. My poll is very tired.
How you just all of a sudden throwing me in the mix with that. But when your poll tired, I had to do a poll.
Yeah, the whole week last week I gave the poll. So this.
No, one of those days I did a poll, man. I just sent it to you and you did it.
All right. Well, let's get in the headlines of the 3 dailies then.
All right.
I'll do the papers and you think of the poll, right?
All right. Okay.
It is Monday, the
international
22nd of
poll.
July, 2024. Let's start with the Daily Express. Breaking news: Joe Biden bows out of presidential race. Updated 16 hours ago. Of course, that news broke yesterday afternoon around 2. Shamika's tragic end. 3 weeks ago, 22-year-old Shamika decided to escape a violent relationship when she was chopped in the hand for using her cell phone. She unfortunately, is it that she passed away? Let me read the story properly.
Yes, she did.
Battered woman dies after years of abuse. Yes, sadly, she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you call toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Rowley hails bold Biden. Biden drops out. Search goes on for Kamal Maharaj. Lawyers call for answers. What exactly are the Northwest Regional Health Authority and Ministry of Health trying to hide? That's the question being asked by attorneys representing the mothers of the 17 prematurely born babies who died at the NICU unit. I'm surprised. Apparently, they're asking for the report and they can't get it, which is strange to me. Joe Biden bows out of presidential race. That could be the poll. Battered woman dies after being dropped off at hospital.
Yeah, that's what I said. We might have to do an international poll today.
Yeah. So
Is this the Guardian you're doing?
I'm doing the Express.
Oh, okay. I have the Guardian. Go on.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, you're finished?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, and of course today is Monday, July 22nd, 2024. SSA workers recalled. That's the headline on the front page of the Guardian. Security agency seeks to rehire several fired employees. Biden drops out U.S. race. That's also one of the main headlines. Woman beaten to death is another subheadline. And prayers for missing doctor. That's also a headline. I think that's the doctor that they think might have been kidnapped, but they're not sure yet. Oh, I'm not so sure if they are sure now. Dismal Windies, that's on the back page of the TNT Guardian. And that's all you need to know. Dismal Windies, that's it.
Let's go to the news. The UNC, why dengue not an emergency? That could be the subject of a question also. Parents of NICU babies want NWRHA investigation report. Roberts, PM subverting tender process for refinery. Top cop faces contempt application over FUL delay. Ramsaran Dairy Products files lawsuit over forex scarcity. Coast Guard officer wins promotion lawsuit. Griffith claims recall of fired SSA staff. Air Guard officer withdraws lawsuit over promotion. Mother of murdered woman leave after first sign of abuse. NP dismisses OWTU claims on hiring practices, and Rio Claro man gunned down while bathing. Another one dead, one wounded in carnage. Man killed in fight outside bar. Missing Pleasantville woman found alive. So those are trending stories in your Guardian Express and Newsday for today.
All right. I sent you one. I sent you a suggested poll. Because a lot of our people are listeners from abroad.
That's a rhetorical question now, though.
What?
The suggested question is, do you support Joe Biden dropping out of the U.S. presidential race? It's a fait accompli. It's done.
So then you want to ask, do you support
Kamala Harris as the president?
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's get the results of our poll from Friday. The poll was, do you think the law requiring persons called upon to assist officers, if called upon, or face a charge should be repealed? Right? 67% said yes.
Or do you want to ask, do you think Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump in the election?
We could ask it that way too.
Something more pointed.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
How do you spell Kamala?
Kamala.
Yearly.
She does not have the she does not She has an extra E.
Yeah, before the
But it's pronounced the same way.
Okay.
All right. So while Paul taps that poll,
I don't know if this would be accurate, but is she the first Douglas?
She's the first woman, a black woman.
yeah.
No, she's the first Douglas. She's Indian and African American stock because her father is Jamaican and her mother is Indian.
We use Douglas. They don't use that in America. Anything outside of blondie and blue eyes.
They don't know the word Douglas.
Kamala Harris
She's a Douglas.
ABC News is reporting she raised $50 million since being announced.
Act Blue raised that fund. Act Blue, that's grassroots money.
Big Ray International today.
Yeah.
With the poll. And there's an international poll, far-reaching poll that reaches across the waters.
All right, so there are pollers online. Give us a call, 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's our numbers, of course, on WhatsApp at 318-1021. All right, again, our poll, do you think, and it just disappeared.
Play memory and all that, just fix it.
I didn't even see it, and I'll switch the page.
Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's it. Pretty much, that's it. Yes or no? Do you think the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump in the upcoming U.S. president elections, which is 106 days away? All right, yes or no?
Talk to the 28255 North Americans, 866-525-1099. Absolutely toll-free. People on the streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portals there. And if you're watching us on M&E TV, or if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on smart devices, you can WhatsApp us at 318-1021.
Keith Processor says yes. Slick Money Grip, yes, 100%. CJ New York, yes. Anderson says no. Alan Reese says no. Alistair Hart says yes. Wayne Joseph in Ontario, Canada, probably getting ready for Caribana, says yes. Andre Renu, yes. John Cato, okay. Beauty Culture, yes. Julia Espatiste, no. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, says yes. Anthony Franco, yes. All right. Let's grab this call. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Me amor. Richard, before I answer Richard, you got my message?
Yeah, I did.
All right, okay. Yeah. That woman is a strong woman, of course, yes.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen, morning. And my answer to the poll, of course, is yes.
All right, thanks, big guy.
All right, sir.
All right. Trini Get Fit says yes. Candice Pascal says no. Okay. On WhatsApp, Captain Ron says yes. Long Islander says yes. Trevor Narima says yes. Val says no. Okay. Cheryl Henry says yes. Jennifer Leacock says yes. Do you think Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump in the U.S. presidential election? Yes or no? Good morning, caller.
Yeah, Chairman. No, she would not. And,
no. All right.
Even when she ran for president, she couldn't even do it. Our own black people didn't even vote for her. So no.
All right. Thank you. That's a no.
When who ran for president?
Different circumstance now, however.
Yeah.
Well, no,
but D says yes.
So what went up against like Biden and stuff.
In the primaries.
Okay. Well, that certainly was a different circumstance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Kenny in Harlem says absolutely yes. Boy Bedesi says no. All right, let's get those votes coming. Do you think
one clip, Steve?
When Biden won the presidency, this was the third time he went up. He wasn't selected twice before. He had lost twice before.
Right.
So 222-talk, 222-8255, North Americans 866-525-1099. People on our streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portals. You can also vote via WhatsApp 318-1021. And of course, especially if you're watching us on M&E TV or if you're listening to us on smart devices.
Was Joe Biden also publicly endorsed by Barack Obama?
Yes.
He was? Okay.
Totally different circumstances, though. He'd been Barack's vice president for 8 years in one successful 8 years, and then Barack could no longer go up, so there was a natural progression.
Right.
No, that's not what happened, you know.
What happened?
When Barack Obama gave up, had to leave office because his second term had ended, he overlooked Joe, or he jumped over Joe and passed it to Hillary. Hillary lost.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then when
it went to Joe, that's true. He didn't get his support.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I asked the question, because I was wondering how Hillary Clinton got in there.
Yeah, he chose.
Yeah, because Hillary is the one who went up against.
He endorsed Hillary at that point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then Hillary lost to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Right.
Which many thought was an impossibility, but it happened.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Even though she got the popular vote, but it's about their delegates.
Yep.
And the states you win.
That was a brutal election, though.
Yeah. Any more votes on Steve?
Steve is frozen. No. Okay, he's otherwise occupied. All right, today is July 21st, 2024.
22nd.
Is it the 22nd?
Yes, I just read it on the papers.
Oh boy, tomorrow is my son's birthday then. All right, I don't know why I'm thinking Wednesday. It's July. Tomorrow is the birthday of Haile Selassie. Tomorrow the Rastas, the 12 tribe people celebrate they do a celebration in honor of his birthday. Haile Selassie, July 23rd. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So I got a couple of votes for you guys before we head to news. John Cato says yes. Paul, I got it. Mogain says no. Anthony Tinto in Canada says no. Carl M. Jacks he says yes. Catherine Henry, no. Okay, that's it. On WhatsApp, we have somebody saying yes. I got somebody else saying no. Lenny James saying yes. Southman saying yes. Emmanuel in Fort Lauderdale saying yes. All right. We have time for this call. Good morning.
Which person can know?
All right. Thank you, Arima.
Long time no hear from Miss Arima.
Yes, I didn't understand it clearly.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. Starts right now.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is major news to 7 a.m. First, the headlines. U.S. President Joe Biden has ended his re-election campaign, saying it is in the best interest of his party and the country. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley commends Joe Biden for his bold and courageous decision to drop out of the presidential race. Kamala Harris vows to earn and win the Democratic nomination after Biden drops out and endorses her. On Wednesday, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago reduced the reserve requirement for commercial banks from 14 to 10%. And the Ministry of Health reveals TNT recorded its fourth lab-confirmed dengue-related death. We have details coming up next. This is major news to 7 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. Good morning. U.S. President Joe Biden has ended his re-election campaign, saying it is in the best interest of his party and the country. President Biden announced yesterday afternoon he will not seek re-election amid continued pressure following what was described as a disastrous performance last month that left many in his party questioning whether or not he should continue to seek re-election. He will serve out the remainder of his term. Biden said, open quotations, "While it's been his intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." Biden wrote in a letter he posted to his X account, he added, "I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about this decision." The president said it had been his greatest honor of his life to serve as their president. And Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, in a Facebook post subsequently commended President Biden for his bold and courageous decision and wished him long and healthy retirement. President Biden's withdrawal from the presidential race this Sunday. He endorsed Kamala Harris, his vice president, to be the new Democratic nominee. Dr. Rowley said the outcome of this will always be a matter for the American people, and he has every confidence they'll be guided to make wise and sensible decisions. Prime Minister Rowley said he's been fortunate to have been exposed to and worked with President Biden and Vice President Harris. He said they're both outstanding and patriotic citizens of their country, and we in Democratic TNT can do no more than to wish them well as they go forward into a vigorous campaign, which we hope will be peaceful and worthy of the great nation of the United States. We have NBC News telling more on this story.
He says that he will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about his decision. He goes on to say that he expresses his deepest gratitude to all of those who have worked so hard to see him reelected. And importantly, he goes on to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. Again, thanking the American people for the faith and trust that they have placed in him. So a couple of questions answered here and a couple of questions still ahead. First of all, there was a question that if President Biden stepped off the ticket, would he also, in fact, resign from the presidency? He is making clear in this letter that he will not do that. But there's a big question remaining, which is, what happens next? What happens next now to the Democratic ticket? There had been some calls, some questions for example, an open mini primary, perhaps, before the convention that is set to happen next month.
Vice President Kamala Harris says she intends to earn and win the nomination and do everything in her power to unite the nation to defeat Donald Trump. And world leaders lined up to pay tribute to Joe Biden after he announced Sunday he was dropping out of the U.S. presidential race. Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky thanked Biden for taking bold steps in supporting his country, praising the U.S. president's tough but strong decision to end his re-election bid. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk praised Biden for taking many difficult decisions, thanks to which Poland, America, and the world are safer and democracy stronger. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he respected Biden's decision, adding he looked forward to working together during the remainder of his presidency. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz also paid tribute to what he called his friend, and Israel Defense Minister Yoav Gallant thanked Biden for his unwavering support to Israel over the years. Tributes also came in from Canada, Australia, and former President Barack Obama, with whom Biden served 2 terms as vice president, praised his record in office. Back in Trinidad and Tobago, the Central Bank of TNT has reduced the reserve requirement for commercial banks from 14% to 10%, taking effect July 24th. It said the Monetary Policy Committee at a special meeting on July 19th examined the recent decline in excess reserves for commercial bank deposits held by the banks at the CBTT in excess of the required reserve ratio of 14% of prescribed liabilities, deposits, and short-term borrowings. Trinidad and Tobago has recorded its 4th lab-confirmed dengue-related death. The Ministry of Health has confirmed at the Northwest Regional Health Authority Men's Initiative at the Queen's Park Savannah held over the weekend. Health Minister Terence Diasing emphasized the need for both individual and community efforts in the fight against the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which transmits dengue. The country has already recorded 392 confirmed lab cases. Diasing notes while spraying is part of an integrated approach to vector control, excessive spraying can also be more harmful than beneficial. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is seeking the urgent assistance of the public in locating 40-year-old Kumal Maharaj. Kumala Felicity Shugwanis was last seen on July 19th, 2024 and reported missing to the Shipwanis police station later that day. He's of East Indian descent, brown in complexion, and has a low haircut. He was last seen wearing a red t-shirt, grey hoodie, and a pair of blue jeans. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Kamal Maharaj is asked to contact the Shipwanis police station at 665-5271 or 800-TIPS, or contact the police at 555-999 or 911, or contact any police station. Internationally, cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike says a significant number of devices that were impacted by a global information technology outage on Friday are now back online. In a social media post, the company whose faulty security update caused Microsoft Windows computers to crash around the world added, it continues to focus on restoring all the systems. Microsoft estimated that the incident, which is being described as the worst in IT history, impacted 8.5 million computers around the world. To end our 7 a.m. newscast, here are the headlines. Once again, U.S. President Joe Biden has ended his re-election campaign, saying it's in the best interest of his country and the party. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley commended Joe Biden for his bold and courageous decision to drop out of the presidential race in the U.S. Kamala Harris vows to earn and win the Democratic nomination after Biden drops out and endorses her. On Wednesday, the Central Bank of TNT reduced the reserve requirement for commercial banks from 14 to 10%. And the Health Ministry revealed TNT recorded its fourth lab-confirmed dengue-related death. That is news to 7 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have headlines coming up at 8 a.m. and major news at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul, for our major news. Of course, Paul will give us a news brief come 8 o'clock this morning. 28 degrees on both islands. The Met Office is saying today is going to be mostly fair and hazy at first. Will give way to partly cloudy conditions from mid-morning with showers over a few areas. There's also a low 30 to 40% chance of an isolated thunderstorm activity favoring western and southern areas. This evening will be generally settled and hazy apart from the isolated shower. Please note a moderate concentration of Sahara dust is present in our atmosphere. So yeah, certainly I felt that yesterday and saw it. Traffic-wise, I have nothing really to tell you about. A little volume by Trinidad City to UE and Chase Village, and from Swim Call, getting into Port of Spain and leaving San Fernando towards Claxton Bay. You've got some no accidents I can see at this time. All right, let's get back to our polls. If we have any more votes,
just give me 10 seconds to play something, right?
All right, let me just see if I have any more votes here. So Richard can tally by the time. Ish out in Malik says yes. Oscar Daniel says yes. That's it. And that's it. Go ahead. Dan Rad says no. Sorry.
This is for a couple people who made comments concerning the pronunciation of her name.
She's a U.S. Senator now running to be vice president, but some people still don't know how to say her first name. In 2016, she released a video about it with some help from some little friends.
It's not Kamala. It's not Kamala. It's not Kamala. It's Kamala.
Does that ring a bell? It's Kamala, not Kamala, not Kamala. It's Kamala, and she released that video.
All right, let's get the results of our poll before a guest comes online.
Google it all yourself. Don't take my word for it, because I went on Google.
All right, so our poll this morning: do you think U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump in the upcoming U.S. presidential election? And of course, the votes are in. We had 40 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. Of the 40 people voting, 27 of you said yes, you think she can in fact beat Donald Trump in the upcoming U.S. presidential election, and 13 of you said no. So the yeas have it by a considerable margin that she can beat Donald Trump in the upcoming U.S. presidential election. Of course, you can continue to vote this poll throughout the day, throughout all programming, and we give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Tuesday as to what the final result would be from our polling throughout the day and overnight.
She better beat him. That's all I can say.
I know one thing for sure. She will perform better in debates.
Oh, for sure.
But she's
Yes,
very, very
for sure.
strong in debates, and she was
Yes.
she was a very good prosecutor. She will maximize the issue of women's reproductive rights, the issues related to how minorities were treated under Donald Trump's tenure,
Yes.
and Donald Trump's immigration positions.
Yes,
So I know
she'll be very strong there.
There's a lot of strengths in those areas. And she'd been advocating for women's reproductive rights since the overturn of Roe versus Wade, or not overturn, but putting it into the state's individual capacity to decide where that is concerned. So I know she's going to be strong in debates. Whether or not that will translate into votes, well, that's presuming she gets the Democratic nod at the DNC.
Yes, true.
But I don't see anybody else coming from the side or the back to take over now anyway, you know.
Yeah.
The party, to start to build someone's profile from now till November is almost an impossible task for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
What she has to do is very carefully choose her running mate.
Yes.
If she gets the nod, which usually is announced to the DNC.
Yeah.
And of course, she will need what many people feel is a white male.
Well, they've already suggested a couple of people, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
It's all about the numbers.
Yep.
Let
And
me see.
loads of money, because you know he coming with loads of money.
Yeah, who's that?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Democrats not bad in raising funds.
They're not bad in raising funds at all.
So but I mean, like, who would be her running candidate? I know some people like Gavin Newsom.
They like him.
Yeah, from governor of California, but then it'll be both from California, and they don't like, you know, sometimes they want.
It's not going to work for the states who need to swing.
So they may think, well, maybe we need to go to a Midwestern state.
I'm seeing Kentucky suggesting Shapiro.
But Josh Shapiro is from Pennsylvania. So he is an option. But you could always find issues with people in terms of how Americans see them, because some may see Kamala as she's not immigrant, but person of color, woman, with kinds of issues, and they could try to criticize everybody. You could always find something. The only thing they never find a problem with is when it's two white men. But they always have some kind of criticism once it's outside of that line.
Yes.
But Josh Shapiro is one. He's from Pennsylvania. He's the governor of Pennsylvania. So he's a good one too, I guess. But his name is jumping up. And there's some guy called Rick Cooper, I think it is. I'm not so sure where he's from though.
I'm seeing Kid Bissessor saying Andy Bishop from Kentucky.
She's not going to choose another minority.
Whoever she chooses, they need to beat Donald Trump. And they need to beat him convincingly so that he could go to jail in his orange suit in peace.
Oh my God. Hey.
That's where he needs to be. He needs to go up there with peace, because
I know the governor of Michigan is another one that they talk about. That's Gretchen Whitmer, I think is the name. But then people saying 2 women on the ticket. They start to look at it.
Not with American change that much. Not 2 women on the ticket.
Yeah.
It'll sound cute, but they need to appeal to the.
Yeah. But she's the governor of Michigan.
Particularly the single upwardly mobile white men. Which is where Trump is quite strong. But it'll be quite interesting to see what happens as the days unfold. This week is all going to be don't watch American news if you can't take it.
Yeah.
Laugh. Imagine from 1 week Trump, there's an attempted assassination on Trump, and this week Joe Biden drops out. 1 week,
yes. In 1 week, it's true.
That's a week in politics is a long time. Meanwhile, back at home,
I saw Tony Fraser. Tony Fraser had a very good article yesterday in the newspapers about America and its history with violence and so on. It's worth the read. It's worth reading, because a lot of people don't view America that way. But Tony went back into the history and so on of American history and show how violent America really is.
But it started with removing the Native Indians. When
Yeah. And the fact that they're still violent. I wanted to comment, though, that if that was actually a serious attempt on Donald Trump, it's going to happen again. That's what I'm afraid of.
I think the kind of security, the Secret Service, I don't understand what happened there. Because people could have seen the man with the rifle on a roof. And I just don't understand that. And they said they're running a full investigation, but it's astounding that actually happened. I have my question marks over it.
And that's why I say if that was actually a serious attempt and wasn't staged, you understand? Then if it was a serious attempt, then I suspect it may happen again.
Yes.
I hope not, but I suspect it will.
Right. Okay, I got you. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, Steve. Bye.
Morning, Prof.
Our guest is online already.
Is he hearing me? Good morning, Professor.
1,
2, 3, 1, 2, 3, Prof. Steve must have something in the room, you know.
Good morning, Professor Diosaran. Are you hearing us?
No, he's clearly not.
Us, yeah.
He was on the phone with Steve, so I think he might be waiting for clearance.
Yeah, so I think he's seeing us, but I think he's hearing us. So
let's wave at him. Let's wave at him and tell him put on his mic.
It's not about his mic. He obviously doesn't have any speakers.
He needs to put on his mic. Steve, go on.
I don't know. Well,
maybe he doesn't know he's on.
Yeah, Professor Diosaran is obviously waiting on his cue from Steve.
No, he's not hearing. I don't know where Steve went.
I don't know where you went, Paul.
Yeah, where did you go to, Paul? Oh, Lord, you're on this toxicity this morning.
Good morning, Prof.
Toxic masculinity.
Well, I learn words.
Steve?
All right. So, well, I guess we could just continue with our conversation until they sort it out. You know?
But his mic is not hearing us.
Yeah, his mic is on because the phone is not ringing.
His mic is on, but he's not hearing us.
I think his speakers.
Yes,
I don't think his
All right,
speakers
so you
are on.
can see the volume on your computer.
Steve is
Volume.
calling.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me see.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Just turn the volume up.
Testing. 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 Testing.
Yeah, looking for the volume icon here. Too. Right.
His mic is working.
So,
Take him off camera now. Don't do that now.
Yeah. Exactly. I wasn't feeling very CNN and they show MSNBC-ish right in that moment.
Yeah. All of a sudden, flashbacks of the last debate started entering my head.
And I wasn't feeling very,
John Potter.
I was feeling very Caribbean islandish.
Yes. All of a sudden, I was seeing donkeys running about the road with loads of grass.
You know, you all say that, and you all certainly, not every place in America is like New York and Chicago, eh? You all know that, right?
I've gone to some of the
There's some
backwoods in
places
America.
with donkeys and thing running about the street right now.
As a matter of fact, there's a part of Florida that I stayed at one time. I asked Gershwin, I said, but you living in the boondocks? Where you living? It's bear hunting running through the street and all kind of things.
And goat in your front lawn and wild boar in your backyard and thing. Don't get that all the US is all the cities here. All right. In Florida, alligator coming and grabbing your dog off your front lawn and eating it.
Yes.
So,
There are some parts of Georgia it's scary, you know. The neighbor is way up the road, you know.
There's some parts of everywhere that's scary.
Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, we are waiting to just clear up some technical issues with our guest professor, Ramesh Diosaran. We have him on in a bit.
It was a bit of a regular our program, so we always like to have him on to have conversations with him, concerning whatever issues. So we're sorting out the technical issues, and we'll have him on.
All right. In the meantime, you all can send your messages and we'll read them. There's a first call. I don't know if you all have been seeing these messages from someone named Roberto Mohammed.
All right, Prof, good morning.
Morning.
Oh, there we go.
How are you?
Just
I'm all right, Paul.
Are you hearing me on the phone or the computer?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
You can put down the phone now.
Right. Thanks for joining us this morning. How are you this morning?
Okay. I'm all right. Thank you.
Why you make the man drop on the race?
All right.
Huh?
Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Why you call the man, the president, and drop on the race, Professor?
Yes, Paul. Good morning to you and your panelists and all your thousands of viewers.
Morning, Professor Dinn. Why did you make Joe Biden drop out the race today, this morning?
Well, Kamala is my cousin, you know.
Yeah?
Yes.
What? There we go.
I have to put her in the picture.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Nepotism. A little bit of nepotism.
All right. That don't hurt nobody.
Really?
No, this is a very historical issue, you know, very historical. Not only he dropping out, but the alternative is really history making in many respects. But American politics has gotten so very different from how it used to be. You know, it was a very conservative, straight line issue, but now sometimes you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow with the American politics, especially with its international obligations in the war in Ukraine and Gaza and so on. So all in all, we're in a different zone now in the world, and it's including Trinidad and Tobago.
Do you think Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump though in an in a U.S. electoral race?
Well, right now it depends on two things: how the Trump campaign shapes up against the issues they will raise, and secondly, I don't know, given Kamala's demographic profile, as you know, America has some slanting with the demography in the candidates. But of course, Obama made it quite smoothly twice. So maybe what I said earlier on, things are changing. But I am not 100% confident. I'll wait and see about 2 or 3 weeks into the campaign towards November when the election is held. But I'll wait and see how the exchanges go between Trump and herself and how much money she can raise, because Elon Musk already agreed to donate $40 million every month to Trump's campaign. And that is a heavy piece of muscle going on there for election campaign. And but they have to declare it. But the fact is, if she can raise enough money, it's very interesting how our American politics, elections especially, is so financially driven. And that's why I have a keen interest in our country that we should have election financing regulations and proper legislation. And you cannot make your democracy be a commodity to purchase at the highest price. And we are very slack and lazy in this respect.
But campaign finance reform, Prof, has been an issue and proffered by both parties. And neither have acted on it.
Both parties, you're quite correct. And that is where the unfortunate issue is. And in some respects, people say none of the parties better than the other one. And this is a glaring example because it hits at the heart of our democracy. And if you say you want free and fair elections, but you cannot have the election itself as a commodity on the shelf for the highest bidder. You make it a rich man's country then.
Well, yes. But coming back home,
no, we
a lot is happening right here. related to crime. The Commissioner of Police has been given a second year, well, an extension into another year. We had a murderous spree last weekend before last. So today's Monday. The police responded by, in some ways, flooding the streets with officers, picking up 113 people. I don't know what the charges were, or if they were arrested and charged. And a lot of conversation has started again following the Prime Minister hosting a National Security Council meeting in Tobago. I saw a Guardian editorial which kind of summed up what we said last week with the rhetoric out of the National Security Council meeting. More coordinated efforts, more focus on the street, and the Guardian editorial in summation, I'm paraphrasing, basically said the same old talk with no different results. You have been very strong in an article in one of the papers about the police inspectorate coming out of the manpower report. Why do you think, and to my knowledge, Mrs. Harewood Christopher, the Commissioner of Police, was on the committee that created that report. Would that not be so?
Yes, she was a member. She signed off on the final report.
And signed off on the final report. Why do you think there's a reluctance to initiate this inspectorate, which is aimed at being an oversight body for police performance in many different areas?
Yes, the inspectorate is a very strategic intervention. And it is something every commissioner, not only this one, in fact, this one needs the help very, very badly, given the evidence we have from our appearance before your select committee. I mean, it was very unfortunate to know how many things are missing, the gaps in law enforcement, and she keeping about the process is on. It doesn't inspire public confidence in the police service. And I thought a remedy, one of the strategic remedies would be to insert a police inspectorate. And we discussed it at the manpower audit. So everybody was on board. You signed off on it and you sent it to the government. The police inspectorate would be a police station by police station inspection to see if the vehicles are in order, if the building is in good condition, if the officers are punctual and regular, and why they are absent, and what is the rate of the crime in that particular district, what are the restraints, how are the citizens responding to the police incorporation. So all these large and minute criteria will be fitted into the police inspectorate, and when they gather the information, the unit, they send it up to the executive for action and remedy. So I don't understand what is the delay. What is the shadow boxing? You're making announcements every Monday morning on the same issues. As if the government and the Ministry of National Security and those concerned with public safety are sleepwalking. They're not energetic enough.
But wasn't the manpower report initiated by the Prime Minister himself?
Well, I don't want to make it unnecessarily controversial, to make it look as if he has made a promise and he has failed. The public will decide that. What I'm saying is that he did, in good faith, make a pledge to implement the manpower audit report as a strategic move. To use his words, it will be a blueprint for reforming the police service and to activate the objectives that we had laid out. I think it's almost 80 recommendations. So you haven't done anything, remarkably enough. So what that does to the Prime Minister, I say so with respect, his credibility becomes at stake. But you see, the overall issue, in my view, is that the government is not afraid of the opposition at all. So
but Professor Diosaran, I mean, I'm hearing where you're trying not to go. But the issue is that the Prime Minister would have initiated certain moves concerning the manpower report the manpower audit, also concerning local government reform. I have to add in that. But there are people who are there to carry out these functions. The Prime Minister can't spoon feed and follow it through, micromanage it. There are people there to do it. So I don't know that his credibility could be at stake in this case. The government, maybe, at the end of the day.
Well, his credibility is at stake in this respect. One, when he received the report a couple of years ago, he did make a pledge in the public. Secondly, he is head of the cabinet, to which all ministers are responsible for reporting and implementing. That is, if you have an effective cabinet. Thirdly, the chairman of the Joint Select Committee that examined the manpower audit report, we had several meetings. I appeared and the members appeared before the committee. The chairman was Fitzgerald Hines. So I thought, with that background and knowledge, just like in the case of Ola Christopher, and given the interest of the country in this matter, and given their constitutional responsibility, that they would move very quickly in implementing what they had promised to implement. So coming back to your question, whilst the Prime Minister may not have direct responsibility in implementing, he is the chief and major oversight person in this exercise. And lower down, you have the minister who chaired and examined the report, and then you have the commissioner herself, who was a member of the report and who signed off on it. So, gentlemen, this is a great puzzle that must be remedied. And that is why on another stream, I made recommendations to this advisory committee on constitution reform to try and remedy these things, to bring in more accountability. And don't let ministers and a government be in another room, in another zone, and the public to whom they are obligated to serve in another zone. The distance between the authorities in this country and the citizens is very, very far, too far. And my recommendations, I don't want to elaborate on this now, but as a point relevant is that my recommendation is to tighten the system and bring the citizens more into play in governance themselves.
But isn't the issue of all of these audits that take place, and the police service is not by itself? Healthcare had its own audit and its own report and suggestions and recommendations. I think it was the GAFU report at that time. But we are very bad at implementation of things that the state has put in place, put professionals in place to do those audits. We get the results, and then it just languishes. Isn't that part of, it's kind of historically what we do? We just don't implement. We have a problem with implementation. And what do you think accounts for that?
Well, this is a long, old story. This is how, ever since we got independence, we have been so inefficient and ineffective in governing this country. It's embarrassing. With the issue of crime, more precisely, it has international repercussions on us. So you are right. So many reports have been made, presented to government. Government appointed these committees and commissions. And yet when they get it, not only do they do nothing, but the situation that was targeted for remedying, it gets worse. The health system has gotten worse, in reference to what you just said. The crime situation has gotten worse because the reports are not implemented. Now, the bugbear here is that, well, Cabinet has the responsibility to accept and reject. Yeah, that's the legal position. The morality issue is that you should implement. That is your obligation, your constitutional obligation to implement what you.
But it's interesting that there seems this reluctance, Professor, because as you said, the Prime Minister is the head of the National Security Council. The Prime Minister is the one who initiated this report. the present Minister of National Security was the head of the Joint Select Committee at the time, which examined it and brought all stakeholders together. The present Commissioner of Police was on the committee. I mean, you can't get more of a confluence of people if they wanted to move forward, to make it move forward. Because to me, the biggest challenge facing the government at this time is citizen security, national security. What is it that there may be another route that they are seeing to deal with the crime situation that we don't know about? Because if it is, it's not working very well.
Well, Paul, I come back to something. I had mentioned this to you privately. If the government had a fear of the opposition, and if the opposition was demonstrating muscle, sufficient muscle to intimidate the government in doing what they're supposed to do, the government would have moved more quickly. Secondly,
that's a serious statement,
the meeting you had with Ola Christopher, I had the opportunity to listen to it. I think you all were overly gentle and very circumspect with the issues. In my view, you should be very robust and pull her up and make reference to what we're talking about this morning with your background, Paul.
When I am more robust, I get lambasted in the public.
No, I think you all just, I mean, even Dr. Munilal, as if it's a tea party you all were having on a serious matter where the commissioner showing gaps in performance. So you can't let those things pass. I think the media and the parliament should play a stronger role in this issue.
But
of course,
what more can you get from a commissioner when you ask what are the targets you set for yourself in the previous year failed, and then you come up with the targets set by the police service commission, and the targets are not met again, and you ask why the targets were not met, and you get, well, it's evolving criminality and some issues with the internal to the TGPS, and they're going to have other strategies and employ other mechanisms to solve crime, and it's not working. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't. There's nothing you can do after that.
See, you have researchers attached to your select committee. They should have the number of times these promises were made. But more than that, Paul, more than that, the Constitution says, the amended law, 123, section 123, there's a provision there where the deliberations and the recommendations of your select committee, the report that you finalize after the hearings, should go to the Police Service Commission. That's a requirement. Now, I don't know if it has gone in what route.
My understanding is the Police Service Commission has those recommendations.
Yeah, well, it has to go. It is constitutional requirement that it goes. And it has to be formally treated, not as an incidental thing. And when that is sent to the Police Commission, Service Commission, I think they should agree and make a recommendation.
Why do we need to do that when clearly the police, the government, in their own words, acting on the assessment of the Police Service Commission, reappointed Mrs. Harewood Christopher for another year, which suggests that the report met a particular benchmark for Mrs. Harewood Christopher to be reappointed for another year, unless the report was bad and the government still went and reappointed her. That's the only other alternative. To the Police Service Commission, clearly, unless somebody could correct me, gave Mrs. Harewood Christopher some sort of passing grade that the government could consider she be reappointed.
Well, that is why we need some transparency here from the Police Service Commission. The Police Commission is obligated to declare its reasons for appointing.
We didn't get that. Did we get that?
Not to my knowing, maybe I
didn't see any report from the Police Service Commission about Mrs. Harewood Christopher and the DCP's performance, because the DCPs are also included in the assessment, not so?
Yeah, well, I am not too sure about that.
Maybe they need to be called out if they have a requirement to make public that assessment. Do they? You were the chair of that commission at one point.
Well, given the issue, that's why I say we need more transparency. It cannot be a private club, no longer. In fact, I visited many countries to see how the oversight of the police service operates. Take Toronto, for example. It's a public meeting. They interview the chief of police publicly. So how much more transparency can you get? And he has to answer. Miami is the same thing. The power of appointment and so on rests with the mayor of Miami. So we have one convoluted, cumbersome issue.
I could stand corrected, but the government is on record when Mrs. Herod Christopher's assessment for reappointment came up as saying, and I stand to be corrected, but I'm paraphrasing here, that we looked at the assessment from the Police Service Commission and were satisfied with the reappointment of Mrs. Herod Christopher, suggesting that the assessment from the Police Service Commission was favorable enough to reappoint Mrs. Herod Christopher. Unless I'm crazy.
No, well,
I think it was also suggested that there was no competition for the post.
If you have a system, a so-called independent commission that makes recommendations and make a rank 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of who should be commissioner, and it goes to Parliament, and the Prime Minister takes number 4 and make it number 1. What is the role of the Police Service Commission then?
That's very valid. That's a very valid.
Very valid.
That is one of the issues the country has faced.
Yeah, that's something that we have articulated and ventilated on this program when it happened. But I think the issue with Erla, Christopher, with regard to the extension, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, rests on the fact that the recruitment methodology had just started.
Yes.
And
they didn't have anybody.
So that because the recruitment had now begun and they were now going into the recruitment of somebody for the position, they took the position to just extend it for an extra year while that recruitment process was completed.
But Richard, even that, if I am to take that, and Professor, you could wait, even if I am to take that, the Police Service Commission knew that Mrs. Herod Christopher, because of her age, had to be renewed within a year. It wasn't a 3-year as it would be if she were under 60. Am I correct?
Yes, I think so.
So the Police Service Commission can't say that they didn't know the year was coming up and start a recruitment process in a timely manner if there is a transparent exercise to get what could be the best options for consideration. So telling me that, well, the time was running out and they didn't have the recruitment process in time is a big feeling if that is what happened.
But that is what happened.
Yes,
well, then there's a problem.
But we spoke about that. Professor Dinn, I want to go back to a comment you made earlier on concerning the opposition. And the fact that the government appears not to fear the opposition or be concerned about their strength or whatever. I want you to clarify that for me, because it seems to indicate that either the opposition is weak, or that the government is not too concerned about opposition support for certain pieces of legislation or so. Clarify that for me. What do you mean? What do you mean by the opposition? The government didn't seem to care about the opposition and their strength.
The opposition has 19 seats in Parliament. That is the frontline issue. But in practice, it isn't so. You had a big breakaway of 5 top-level members, frontline MPs. Dinesh Ramballi, Rushdod Parry, and the other 3. Mm-hmm. And if you read the papers carefully, you would see a direct or indirect attempt to remove the opposition leader. And that has serious implications internally for the opposition. The opposition is ready.
A recent development.
The opposition is not ready to fight an election. The opposition is now no great threat to the PNM. They have to remedy themselves and prepare. And then I will say, well, the government should have some concern during the next election. But right now, Dr. Munilal and everybody else could talk. That young fellow, a very good fellow, Saddam Hussein, bright, young, but it's a water on duck's back because there is no political threat a serious alternative as expected in the Constitution and in our political system. So the opposition has to get itself ready in terms of alternatives and in terms of a threat at the next election. That is what is happening in the United States now, for example. That is what had happened in the United Kingdom with that Sunak, who was Prime Minister. He was moved out because the opposition, Mr. Steimer, he got ready and he was always pounding at them with policies. He became a threat. And change was possible.
So what you're saying is the threat for the government, in your opinion, is not the significant crime situation. It is that there is a weak opposition, so there's no political imperative to do better. That sounds very...
Well, that's the implication. I am not saying who should win the election and who should lose. I am talking how the system should operate. A government has to be kept on its toes. That's why the Constitution has room for an opposition. But look at how many times Mr. Prasad Bisesa asked for Minister Hines to resign, almost every Monday morning. That cannot happen. Why? If you look at the bigger picture now, it cannot happen because the executive to which Hines belongs sits comfortably in the legislature. So the legislature cannot control the executive because the executive dominates the legislature, and yet we talk about separation of powers. So as I said just now, we are sleepwalking through the system.
It's interesting what you're saying is because normally there's a threat to a government being toppled because of instability on the government benches, but in this case, we have the instability in the opposition bench, so it's kind of not what usually happens.
But you using that, I'm suggesting to Professor Dinn that because the opposition is weak, the government is not obligated to push certain things through. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, you see, in that case, the public has to determine that. Because if the opposition was strong enough to force the government's hand, politically and electorally, the public would make a decision and say, well, yes, this is the better party because they're serious. But after calling for Mr. Hines' resignation, and you know, as a veteran politician in parliament, the opposition leader, you know you can't move him because he's part of the executive that sits in the legislature. Now, you're still calling for him to resign, knowing the anomaly in parliament. If you should say, well, given the situation, and talk to the people, I want to move a motion or I want to establish something to remedy this problem. I want to make sure in constitution reform, this matter be handled properly because we are handicapped in dealing with the ministers because they also sit in the legislature and we have no, and so on and so on and so on. But she's not raising the bar. She's just going around in circles, asking for him to resign, where you know fully well, because his executive is his legislature, that wouldn't happen. And the Prime Minister wouldn't take it upon himself to just move Hines without that kind of parliamentary pressure. So she has to raise the bar now. That's what I mean. The opposition has to get itself ready, both in terms of politics and in terms of governance. She has to raise the bar in the discussion.
As you mentioned constitutional reform there, and you mentioned it a couple of times in this conversation this morning, do you have any hope that that constitutional reform committee is going to make any dent in terms of getting the constitution amended? I mean, so many people agree that the constitution needs to be amended, but of course ultimately you need the votes in the legislature to get it done, and you need the opposition support. Are you confident that this committee can get that done, or you think it's just an exercise in words?
It depends on what are the issues. You see this thing about advising the government as to what to do with constitution reform. That advisory body, it could be a scapegoat. It could be just a red herring. Jamaica has constitution reform in process, a fully independent body with very senior citizens on it, independent. Barbados has the same thing. They have constitution reform. They don't have any advisory committee to tell them what they should do before they actually do it. Guyana have the same thing. Guyana has the same thing. They have constitution reform in process now, an independent body. They don't have any advisory committee to tell them what to do, how to do it. So it could be really a kind of puppy show issue, another one. And these are the things that the public has to raise its head. Look at the forest and not only at the trees. But I suspect that people are so worried about health, dengue, crime, that they don't have time to raise their head and see the larger issues affecting this country. Especially on crime. People are scared. The home invasions are notorious. People are sleeping on their bed and they're getting shot. Could you imagine that? Regularly? And you have a lot of people missing. Excuse me.
Do you expect the recent initiatives like the heavy police presence with the roadblocks that we saw last Thursday to make any difference at all?
The roadblocks, I believe, should be more strategic. It hasn't been properly welcomed by the larger community because they expected roadblocks to be more strategically located in areas where hotspots, a serious crime is committed or murder. Let loose your police to block those roads so the criminals would not escape. But this blanket roadblock in places like Siparia, in working hours, and then how many did you catch? Not only the numbers. You caught a number of laborers. When I look at the list, a laborer, unemployed, I don't understand that yet. I still have to understand the value and the methodology for implementing this roadblock.
How worried are you about the kind of guns you're seeing on the street? Because they have to come in from somewhere, and the kinds of weapons that the police are seizing, which in many people's estimation is a drop in the bucket compared to what in the country, because it seems that every 18-year-old criminal has access to high-powered weapons in this country.
Yes. You see, this issue, this is a big issue. We haven't really sealed the borders enough, and maybe it's a big challenge to seal the borders in Trinidad and Tobago. We know that, the borders. But what about the big package of guns that they found in Santa Cruz? Who has been arrested or charged? If you know there's a package of guns in the forest, well, don't go and pick it up right away. Wait and see who is coming for it. Put out a sting operation. I think that is the most strategic way in finding out who owns these guns, and then you're downstream to know where the suppliers are and so on.
You would think so, Professor. You would think so. We had this discussion, You would think that you won't just, after months of surveying an area with intelligence, you're just going to pick up the guns and nobody arrested?
Correct.
I'm tired.
That's right.
I'm tired.
Yeah, but you see,
I'm tired of reading stories like that now.
Why are these things passing by and you do not, they use the word heads will roll. I mean, that doesn't mean anything in this country. Accountability means that the person in charge must explain why he did it or didn't do it. And then there's a method as to what to do after hearing him. Either you understand his explanations or you remove him. And we don't have
Professor,
enough
you
of
said
that.
something. Yeah, you said something just now that I don't know how we would have missed it and how the police missing it. Based on intelligence, you know where are the areas that are potentially giving trouble, right?
Yes.
You know where the areas these guys are coming from. Focus your road exercises, your roadblocks in those areas instead of you go all over the country and inconvenience the whole place and have everybody.
Yes.
Go to those areas and focus on those areas. I don't know how we missing these things,
Well, maybe we should hire the fellow who was here making a video Christmas to let him do the work for us, because he found out all these little holes where these gangs were located.
You mentioned the in the issue related to the gun find in Santa Cruz, run this thing operations and see who they catch downstream. What about who they need to catch upstream?
Catch who? Sorry?
What about those who they need to catch upstream? We always run along, and rightly so, the little boys on the street, but nobody is going upstream.
I heard you, but I wanted to make sure you use the word upstream. Well, boy, Paul, I don't know what to tell you.
Like upstream,
you see, that is where I would.
Untouchable.
You see, it is complicated in the sense that if you go upstream, you might very likely interfere with those who funding election campaigns. Listen, this thing upstairs there is not simplistic, you know. It's sophisticated. People who fund election campaigns, they have an interest in other things, which may be legal and sometimes illegal. And they are protected, insulated by the fact they are what you call big donors.
If that is true, then we're spinning top in mud.
Well, we have been spinning top in mud since 1962.
Well, if we don't want to go after the people who funding it and bringing in the containers, and we think that the 300 little black boys that end up on the death watch every year and rotating every year out to the 500 or 600 and getting murders is only the issue, because they are part of the issue. We're spinning top in mud.
You see, if you notice, Paul, you're in Parliament and you have a lot of experience and background on these matters. But whenever the opposition accuse the government of corruption or any minister, you know what the government does? They throw it back into the arena. They talk about Dr. David Lee on bail. They talk about Dr. Munilal has matters before the court and so on. So the issue gets neutralized because they exchange allegations on corruption. So there's no forward movement. Now the question comes back now to upstream. Who funds these parties? Do we know? And how much do they give? And what happens after that in terms of interest? Whether it's business, whether it's importing ammunition, or whatever it is. But clearly, those are very observant, Paul.
The Minister of Finance came to Parliament.
There are a lot of things in the dark that need to come to light.
The Minister of Finance came to Parliament and reported on customs and said that miraculously, a forklift keep running into scanners.
Scanners. As if there's a fear in inserting scanners in the port.
I don't know. That's what the minister said.
Yes.
And
well,
there's an investigation on the way.
Yeah.
The cameras on the street, CCTV. Why is that taking so long? These body cameras the police supposed to wear.
What
Why
body
is that
cameras?
taking so long?
Yeah, well, that's a conversation that could take us into the next hour, but unfortunately, the time is up, Professor Dinn, and this is where we're going to have to leave it this morning.
Wait, Richard, wait. All you wait. A question was asked of the Commissioner of Police and the DCP head operations about an exercise in St. Augustine where 4 men died. And if there were body cams used on the operation, and this was 2 weeks after the operation, and neither the commissioner nor the DCP operations, who held a press conference, could say whether or not body cams were used at that scene. Professor, thanks for being with us today.
It's a pleasure, Paul. You keep well. You and your panelists. You're very bright panelists.
They couldn't tell us. If they didn't know, they couldn't tell us if body cams were used on the day. Weeks after, when one would imagine a report would have reached the commissioner's desk about what happened, and the head of operations, who was on site, who had a press conference, didn't know either. Things that make you go,
We didn't see the bodies from those 4 young men yet, huh? So, they were.
Then me, you know.
But enough, there's always a video in that instance. Nobody.
Not one. Thanks, Professor Dinn, and have a
thank you.
Fantastic week.
Have a great day. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show this morning. Of course, this is where we wrap it up.
Thank you, Professor. All the best to you.
This is where we wrap it up on the Power Breakfast Show. And I just want to encourage people to go and play lawn tennis because it's good for your health. So said some neurologists. It's one of the best sports to play as you get older. 322-9123. Let me say that number again. 322-9123. For those of you in the Arima area, it's a lawn tennis camp. I'm going to be part of it. They're on to their second week. To join. 322-9123. Play lawn tennis. It's good for your health.
But I have a video of you from last Friday. I'll send it for you. Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God.
You have a great day. Be safe.
I'll send it for you.
All right, gentlemen. Talk to you guys bright as we come tomorrow morning. All right, let's get into our news brief.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is 8:02 a.m. These are headlines making news to the hour. U.S. President Joe Biden has ended his re-election campaign, saying, "It is in the best interest of my party and the country." He's endorsed his Vice President Kamala Harris to continue for the Democratic nomination. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley commends President Joe Biden for his bold and courageous decision to drop out of the presidential race. Kamala Harris vows to earn and win Democratic nomination after Biden drops out and endorses her. And the Ministry of Health reveals TNT records its fourth lab-confirmed dengue-related death. We have details of these and other stories coming up at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.